Welcome to Seniors Gardening Advice, the channel where we teach you how to keep your garden looking spectacular no matter what season it is. I'm Sam, and I'm thrilled you're here. Guess what? Most people think winter means your garden is finished. They believe that once the leaves drop and frost arrives, everything dies. But I'm about to show you something that will completely change how you see the cold months. Some of the most beautiful, resilient flowers are actually celebrating while everything else sleeps. These aren't delicate flowers that wilt at the first snowflake. These are champions, warriors of the garden that bloom their hearts out when temperatures plummet. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 9 tough perennials can transform your garden into a colorful paradise, even when snow is falling. You'll know their names, how to grow them, and the secrets to making them thrive. But here's the thing. If you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button right now. We release new gardening tips, plant care guidance, and seasonal flower lessons every single week. Tap the notification bell too so you never miss out. And if you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It helps other gardeners discover this content. Now let me ask you something. What if I told you that some flowers actually prefer cold weather? What if certain plants literally depend on frost to perform their best? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. Whether you're gardening where winters are brutal or where they're gentle and mild, these perennials will astound you. They don't just tolerate the cold, they thrive in it. Let's start with understanding what makes these plants so different from regular flowers. Annual flowers are beautiful, don't get me wrong. They grow quickly, produce tons of blooms, and then vanish when the season ends. But perennials? They're the true heroes of any garden. These plants come back year after year, growing stronger, developing deeper roots, and becoming more capable with each passing season. The real magic of cold-hardy perennials happens underground. While we see snow on top, beneath the soil, the roots stay alive and protected. They're tucked under the frost line, safely storing energy and waiting for spring to arrive. Some of these plants even create their own natural antifreeze. Their cells produce special sugars and proteins that prevent ice from forming inside them. It's nature's incredible protection system. But knowing the secret to success with these plants matters. The biggest mistake people make is not providing proper drainage. When soil becomes waterlogged and then freezes, the plant suffocates. The roots need moisture, absolutely, but they cannot sit in puddles. A well-draining soil mixture keeps the earth from becoming rock-solid ice and allows the plant to breathe. Mulch is equally important. A gentle layer of bark or shredded leaves keeps the soil at a steady temperature, protects the roots from extreme swings, and gives helpful microbes a comfortable home during winter. Before we dive into each individual plant, I want to know about you. Drop a comment below telling me your USDA growing zone. Are you in Zone 3, where winters are savage? Zone 7, where they're mild? Zone 9, where frost barely touches? Tell me, because I want to create future videos that match your specific climate. Your feedback matters to me and helps make Seniors Gardening Advice better for everyone. Perennial number 1, the Hellebore, called the Christmas rose. Let me introduce you to one of my absolute favorite winter bloomers. The Hellebore, also known as the Christmas rose, is the definition of quiet strength and determination. When everything around it has shriveled and disappeared, this remarkable plant shows up with delicate flowers and deep green leaves that stay beautiful through it all. The Hellebore is often one of the very first flowers to open when winter feels endless. Sometimes they start blooming as early as December, giving your garden hope and color when the world feels gray. They're hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9, which means most gardeners can grow them successfully. These plants don't just survive cold temperatures, they seem to actually enjoy them. What's incredible about hellebores is their tough, leathery leaves. Even when temperatures drop well below freezing, these evergreen leaves remain intact and undamaged. The plant is practically designed for winter. In your garden, hellebores want partial shade. They're happiest growing beneath tall trees or beside evergreen shrubs where they get gentle, filtered sunlight. Too much direct sun, and they can struggle. The soil should be rich and moist, draining well like a natural forest floor. When you plant them, mix in compost or organic material. This makes them feel like they're in their natural woodland home. Taking care of hellebores is refreshingly simple. In late winter, before new buds start opening, trim away the old leaves. This lets the fresh blooms shine without competition. Then, mulch around the base to keep roots insulated and moisture consistent throughout the season. Want to make hellebores look even stunning? Plant them with snowdrops or ferns nearby. The delicate white bells of snowdrops next to those deep pink or ivory hellebore blooms create a picture that takes your breath away. It's like nature's own artwork of contrast and serenity. An old saying from Vermont gardeners goes like this: "When the hellebore blooms, spring is already whispering underneath the snow." There's truth in that. Once you see these flowers open, you know warmer days are coming. If you've never grown hellebores before, this is your sign to try them. They're incredibly strong. Once they're established, they'll reward you with flowers every single winter for years and years to come. Please share this video with anyone who loves winter gardening. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments which flowers you're most interested in.
Perennial number 2, the Witch Hazel with spidery blooms. Now let's talk about a plant that seems pulled straight from a magical storybook. The Witch Hazel, known scientifically as Hemamelis, defies logic. When most branches stand completely bare and lifeless, Witch Hazel explodes with color. Its unique spidery blooms appear in shades of yellow, orange, or deep red. The petals curl and twist like tiny ribbons in the cold air. But wait, there's more. The fragrance is absolutely magical. On a crisp, quiet morning, you'll catch a sweet, spicy scent drifting through the garden long before you actually see the flowers. It's like the plant is announcing its arrival with a beautiful perfume. Witch Hazel grows well in USDA zones 3 through 9, making it incredibly adaptable. It's one of the few shrubs that succeeds in both freezing northern gardens and milder southern regions. Depending on where you live, it usually blooms from late January through March, painting color across gray landscapes exactly when you need it most. If you're in a southern zone, it might start blooming as early as December. For the best results, give Witch Hazel full sun to partial shade. The balance matters. If it sits in too much shade, it won't produce as many flowers. If the soil is too dry, the leaves can turn crispy by summer. Ideally, position it where it gets morning sun and afternoon shade. This combination gives you abundant blooms every winter. The soil should be well drained, slightly acidic, and rich in organic matter. Once Witch Hazel is established, it barely needs attention. That's one reason I recommend it so strongly. Just add mulch around the base each fall to hold moisture and protect roots from freeze-thaw cycles. Pruning should be light and only after flowers fade. Remove branches that cross each other or grow awkwardly. Avoid heavy cutting because that reduces next year's blooms. Witch Hazel looks absolutely beautiful paired with evergreens, ornamental grasses, and hellebores. Picture this scene. A gentle snowfall blankets the garden. Everything is hushed and still, yet Witch Hazel's golden branches seem to glow like lanterns lighting up the cold. That's the kind of magic this plant brings. Gardeners in New England share this saying: when Witch Hazel blooms, winter has finally met its match. It's nature's signal that even in the harshest cold, beauty finds a way. If you want a plant that transforms dull winters into something truly special, Witch Hazel deserves space in your garden. It's bold, fragrant, and never fails to remind us that warmth and life continue even in the deepest freeze. Share this with your gardening friends, subscribe to Seniors Gardening Advice for more tips, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Perennial number 3, the Snowdrop, capturing winter's quiet magic. Now let's explore a flower that holds the very essence of winter's peaceful beauty. The snowdrop, scientifically called galanthus, represents something sacred in the winter garden. Few sights compare to the first snowdrops of the season. Tiny white bells nodding gently as they push through melting snow. These flowers are small, yes, but their arrival feels enormous. When snowdrops appear, you know spring is waiting just around the corner. They symbolize hope, renewal, and strength. They prove that life always returns regardless of how harsh the season becomes. Snowdrops thrive in USDA zones 3 to 8, performing exceptionally well in some of the coldest climates. They bloom from late January to early March, often pushing through the final frost layer with pure white petals that hang like delicate pearls. These small bulbs are incredibly resilient. They love partial shade to full sun, especially growing beneath trees that have lost their leaves. Winter light filters through perfectly for their needs. The soil they prefer is moist, humus-rich, and drains well. Think about what you'd find on a forest floor after autumn leaves have rotted down. That's their ideal home. Once snowdrops settle into your garden, they're wonderfully low maintenance. They naturalize beautifully, meaning they spread and multiply over time without your help. After they bloom, leave the leaves in place until they fade naturally. This allows the bulb to gather energy for next year's display. You can add a light mulch layer to keep soil temperature steady, but don't cover them heavily. Snowdrops actually appreciate feeling that cold air touching the surface. For garden design, snowdrops pair perfectly with winter aconites, hellebores, and early crocuses. Together, they create a lovely late winter palette of white, gold, and soft pink weaving through patches of snow. Imagine a frosty morning with thin ice still clinging to the ground. Right there in the middle of it all, a cluster of snowdrops sways gently, completely untouched by the cold. That's what makes them special. English countryside gardeners say, when the snowdrop bows its head, it's not from weakness, but from grace. That's exactly what these flowers represent: quiet strength and timeless elegance. If you're searching for an effortless way to bring life to your garden after months of gray, snowdrops are essential. They're simple to plant, endlessly rewarding, and a gentle reminder that beauty always returns even in winter. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment about your favorite winter flowers.
Perennial number 4, the winter aconite, like sunshine in the snow. Let's brighten up the winter garden with a burst of pure sunshine. Meet the winter aconite, scientifically called Aranthus hyemalis. When the world outside feels pale and quiet, this little flower arrives like a warm smile in the snow. Its golden yellow petals open wide even on the coldest days, glowing like drops of sunlight scattered across the garden floor. You'll often find them blooming through late January and February, exactly when we start craving color the most. Winter aconites are hardy in USDA zones 3 through 7. They thrive in chilly regions where frost is a regular visitor. These flowers are some of the very first to wake up after the darkest part of winter, and they often appear right alongside snowdrops. These cheerful perennials prefer partial shade to full sun, especially in spots protected from harsh winds. The ideal soil is moist, well-drained, and rich with organic material. Think of soft, leaf-covered earth beneath trees. That's their comfort zone. If your soil has heavy clay, add some sand and compost to create the drainage they love. Caring for winter aconites is easy once they settle in. They grow from small tubers, so plant them shallowly, only about 2 inches deep. Water gently after planting. Once established, they naturalize beautifully, spreading over time to form golden carpets that return each year. You can mulch lightly in late fall to protect the tubers from extreme freeze-thaw cycles, but they're tough little survivors that handle harsh conditions well. For stunning visual harmony, pair winter aconites with snowdrops, crocuses, or early hellebores. The combination of gold, white, and soft pink can turn even the dullest corner into a scene of early spring joy. Imagine the ground still frosty, your breath visible in the cold air, and out of that frozen soil, a cluster of tiny golden blooms shining against white snow. It's nature's way of whispering, "Hold on, warmth is coming." Alpine gardeners say, when the aconite opens, winter begins to loosen its grip. You can see why. These flowers don't just bring color, they bring genuine hope. If you're looking for a low-maintenance, deer-resistant plant full of early-season cheer, winter aconite is exactly what you need. It might be small, but it has the heart of a giant. Subscribe to Seniors Gardening Advice for more winter gardening wisdom, and share this video with gardeners you know.
Perennial number 5, the winter heather, 4 months of steady color. From golden ground covers to shades of pink and purple, let's move to one of the most reliable performers of the cold season, the winter heather, scientifically named Erica carnea. When most plants retreat into dormancy, heather is just getting started. Its needle-like foliage stays evergreen year-round, and its tiny bell-shaped blooms turn snowy landscapes into a canvas of living color. From soft lilac and rose pink to bright magenta, winter heather is one of those plants that gives your garden a pulse when everything else lies still. It's genuinely remarkable. Hardy in USDA zones 4 through 7, winter heather thrives in chilly, temperate regions. You'll start seeing blooms from December all the way through April, depending on your climate. That's an impressive 4 months of steady color from a relatively modest plant. Think about that. While other gardens are asleep, yours is blooming. Heather loves full sun and soil that's well-drained, slightly acidic, and sandy. Heavy clay soils can cause root rot, so that's something to avoid. If your garden has heavy clay, amend the soil with peat moss, sand, or pine bark to improve the texture and increase acidity. Once you get this balance right, heather rewards you with strong growth and vibrant blooms every winter. Caring for heather is refreshingly straightforward. After the flowering period ends, give it a light trim to maintain shape and encourage new growth. Avoid cutting into old woody stems. Stick to trimming the green parts only. A light layer of mulch or pine needles around the base helps retain moisture and keeps the roots insulated through cold spells. For pairing, heather is one of the most versatile winter plants available. It looks stunning alongside dwarf conifers, hellebores, or ornamental grasses. Try planting it in drifts or borders where its colors can cascade naturally. It's also excellent in rock gardens or large pots, adding both texture and vibrancy to patios or entrances during dull months. Picture a gentle snowfall drifting down, and beneath it, swaths of pink and purple heather glowing through the white. It's a sight that feels almost painterly, soft, timeless, and deeply calming. Scottish gardeners often say, "Where heather grows, the heart feels at home." Maybe that's because this plant carries such warmth even in the coldest seasons. If you want color that lasts through winter and extends into spring, heather is a must-have. It's resilient, low maintenance, and one of the best ways to keep your garden alive with charm when everything else fades away. Like this video, subscribe to Seniors Gardening Advice, and let me know which plants you want to try this year. Perennial number 6. Pansies and violas, the cheerful faces of winter. Now, no list of winter bloomers would be complete without celebrating the cheerful faces of pansies and violas. These flowers are the soul of winter color. Small but unmissable, bold yet delicate. They bloom when the air is crisp, filling containers, borders, and window boxes with hues that seem hand-painted. Deep purples, buttery yellows, snowy whites, and even rich burgundies that gleam under frost. These are the colors that save winter gardens from looking dull and gray. Hardy in USDA zones 6 through 10, pansies and violas thrive best in regions with cool, mild winters. In fact, they prefer the cold. When summer heat fades, these little gems take the stage and stay bright through early spring, often bouncing back after a frost as if nothing happened. Their bloom period stretches from late fall right through early spring, giving months of continuous joy. They adore full sun to partial shade, and they're happiest in fertile, well-drained soil that's kept consistently moist, but never soggy. Mix in a bit of compost before planting to help roots establish. Water gently during dry spells, especially if you grow them in containers. Caring for pansies and violas couldn't be simpler. Simply remove faded blooms with a quick pinch here and there. This encourages continuous flowering and keeps them vibrant and full of life. If you live where winters dip below freezing, a light layer of mulch around their roots helps protect them from sharp temperature swings. Pansies and violas pair beautifully with ornamental cabbages, dusty miller, or dwarf evergreens, adding layers of color and contrast. In containers, they shine alongside ivy or creeping thyme, trailing gracefully over the edges. They're versatile enough to fit any style, from cottage gardens to city balconies. Picture frost glistening on the petals at sunrise, yet each flower still bright and open, smiling through the cold. That's the spirit of pansies and violas, resilient, joyful, and endlessly uplifting. There's an old saying among English gardeners, "A winter without pansies is a garden without laughter." It's true. Their cheerful faces have a way of lifting moods even on the grayest day. If you're new to winter gardening or just want instant color without waiting, start with pansies and violas. They'll bloom their hearts out for you. Subscribe to our channel for more tips. Share this with other gardeners and let me know your favorite pansy colors in the comments.
Perennial number 7, the Camellia, the jewel of winter blooms. Now let's discuss the elegance and grace of the Camellia, scientifically known as Camellia japonica. This plant is often called the queen of winter blooms. Once you've seen it in bloom, you'll understand why. Imagine glossy, deep green leaves holding up perfect rose-like blossoms in shades of blush pink, ruby red, or pure white. Sometimes the petals have streaks like a watercolor painting. On cold mornings, when frost clings to every petal, a camellia looks like it's wearing jewels. It's genuinely one of the most beautiful winter sights. Hardy in USDA zones 7 through 9, camellias are best suited for regions with mild winters and cool, damp springs. Their bloom time usually stretches from late fall into early spring, depending on the variety. Some varieties begin flowering as early as November, keeping the show going well into March. These beauties prefer partial shade, ideally spots protected from harsh afternoon sun and strong winds. Think of dappled light beneath tall trees or along the north side of a house. The soil should be slightly acidic, rich in organic matter, and consistently moist but never waterlogged. If your soil leans alkaline, mix in peat moss or pine needles to keep your camellias happy. When caring for camellias, they appreciate some consistency in your approach. Water deeply before the first frost so the roots stay hydrated through winter. Add a thick layer of mulch, about 2 to 3 inches, to regulate soil temperature and keep moisture levels even. Avoid pruning in late summer or fall because that's when the plant sets buds for winter blooms. A light trim after flowering will help shape the shrub without sacrificing next season's display. Camellias pair wonderfully with ferns, azaleas, or hostess, creating a lush, layered look that feels elegant and natural. Their evergreen foliage also makes them an excellent backdrop for smaller perennials like hellebores or cyclamens. Now picture this scene. The garden is still, the air crisp, and beneath the low winter light, a single camellia blossom unfolds. Perfectly formed, completely unbothered by the cold. It's like watching grace in slow motion. Gardeners in the American South have a saying, when the camellia blooms, winter doesn't feel so long. That's exactly what it does. It bridges the gap between the quiet of winter and the awakening of spring. If you're after a plant that combines beauty, structure, and reliability, the camellia is your answer. It's refined but tough. Classic, yet easy to grow. Once it starts blooming, you'll find yourself waiting eagerly for it every winter. Few winter flowers command admiration quite like the camellia, the true jewel of the cold season. Hit that subscribe button, share this with fellow gardeners, and drop a comment about whether you've grown camellias before.
Perennial number 8, the hardy cyclamen, tiny butterfly flowers. Let's meet a small but unforgettable star of the winter garden, the hardy cyclamen. At first glance, cyclamens might look too delicate to survive winter, But beneath those heart-shaped leaves and slender stems lies one of the toughest little plants you'll ever encounter. While many flowers hide away from the cold, Cyclamen steps forward, blooming boldly through late winter with its signature magenta, rose, or white blossoms. Each flower seems to hover above the soil like a tiny butterfly with its petals swept backward, elegant, whimsical, and full of charm. Those marbled leaves with silver and green patterns remain beautiful long after the blooms fade, giving your winter beds texture and color when they need it most. Hardy and USDA zones 4 through 8, Cyclamen thrives in cooler climates where frost is common but the ground doesn't freeze solid for extended periods. Its bloom period usually runs from January through March, bringing joy right when the garden feels quietest. This plant loves partial to full shade, especially beneath deciduous trees or in sheltered corners. The soil should stay well drained, slightly alkaline to neutral, and rich in organic matter. Cyclamen grows from small tubers that prefer being planted just below the surface. Plant them too deep and they'll struggle to thrive. If you garden in heavy soil, mix in leaf mold, grit, or fine bark chips to help with drainage. Care is minimal, which makes Cyclamen perfect for busy gardeners and seniors who want a low-maintenance garden. Once planted, let nature do most of the work. Cyclamen doesn't like too much water, so keep the soil lightly moist but never soggy. During dry winters, a gentle watering occasionally is all it needs. Mulching lightly with leaves in late autumn helps insulate the tubers and mimics their natural forest floor habitat. Cyclamen pairs beautifully with ferns, snowdrops, and hellebores, plants that share its love of cool shade. Together, they create a calm, sophisticated look that feels like a woodland in bloom even in the middle of winter. If you want a flower that brings magic to shaded spots and rewards neglect with beauty, Cyclamen is a true gem. It's proof that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it blooms silently in the cold, asking for nothing, but repaying with everything. Subscribe to Seniors Gardening Advice for more gardening wisdom, and tell me in the comments which flowers you've already tried growing.
Perennial number 9, Japanese Pieris, Cascading Bells of Elegance. Finally, we close our list with one of the most graceful evergreens of winter, the Japanese Pieris, also known as Pieris japonica, or the lily of the valley shrub. This plant is elegance personified. In late winter, its glossy green leaves frame cascading clusters of delicate bell-shaped flowers. They're pure white, sometimes blushed with pink, and they hang like tiny lanterns. Long before spring arrives, they bring light and texture to any garden corner. Hardy in USDA zones 5 through 8, Japanese Pieris thrives in cool, temperate climates. Its bloom time stretches from late winter to mid-spring, depending on your region. The shrub itself remains evergreen year-round, providing both structure and color when most plants have disappeared. It prefers partial shade, the kind of gentle light you'd find beneath tall trees or beside the north wall of a home. The soil should be acidic, moist, and well-drained, rich in organic matter like decomposed leaves or pine bark. Avoid planting in heavy clay or alkaline soil. Pieris loves that woodland softness. For care, this shrub is low maintenance yet rewarding. Mulch every fall with pine needles or leaf mold to keep the roots cool and preserve moisture. After flowering, lightly prune the spent clusters to encourage new growth and shape the plant naturally. It's also a slow grower, so patience is key. But once established, it becomes a showpiece that neighbors will admire. Japanese Pieris pairs beautifully with azaleas, camellias, and ferns, creating layers of texture and varying shades of green that stay lush through the coldest months. It's also wonderful near walkways or entrances, where its dangling white blooms can be admired up close. Imagine a still February morning with a slight mist in the air and the Pieris in bloom. Tiny white bells sway gently, each one shimmering with dew.
It's the kind of beauty that doesn't need to shout. It simply exists, calm and confident, brightening winter with quiet dignity.
Bringing it all together. Designing your winter garden. Now that we've met all 9 hardy winter bloomers, let's talk about bringing them together into a living, breathing winter garden that looks amazing from November through March. Designing for the cold season isn't about filling every space with flowers. It's about layering textures, colors, and shapes so your garden still feels alive even when temperatures drop significantly. Start with structure. Shrubs like Witch Hazel, Camellia, and Japanese Pieris act as your anchor plants. They're tall, evergreen, and full of character. They give height and form to your winter landscape. Around them, weave in Hellebores, heathers, and Cyclamen for mid-level color and lush greenery. Then finish with a carpet of Snowdrops and winter Aconites, whose low blues create warmth against the snow. For smaller spaces or patios, think in containers. A large pot with Pansies, heather, and dwarf evergreens makes a beautiful focal point near a door or balcony. Use textured pots in stone, terracotta, or metal to reflect the natural tones of winter. If you want your garden to stay visually interesting, focus on contrast. Pair bright flowers against dark foliage. Let pink camellias stand beside deep green Pieris leaves. Scatter yellow aconites through patches of snowdrops for a soft golden glow. Don't forget scent. Witch Hazel and Camellia sasanqua varieties release gentle fragrance on the cold air. Position them near paths or windows where you can enjoy their perfume on winter mornings. Finally, lighting makes all the difference. A few warm garden lights near evergreen shrubs or along pathways will make those blooms shimmer at dusk. It transforms your winter garden from quiet to absolutely magical. The goal is simple. Create a space that feels alive year-round. Create a garden that reminds you that beauty doesn't hibernate. It simply changes its form. Wrapping up. Your winter garden awaits. So there you have it, 9 hardy perennials that bloom beautifully even when winter bites the hardest. Each of these plants, from the resilient Hellebore to the elegant Camellia, the fiery Witch Hazel, and the cheerful Pansy, proves that cold weather isn't the end of color. It's the beginning of a new kind of beauty. You don't need tropical heat to grow life in your garden. You just need the right plants and a little care. These tough perennials don't just survive the cold, they celebrate it. If you're planning your winter garden, let me know in the comments which of these flowers caught your eye. Do you already grow any of them, or is there one you'd love to try this year? I read every comment and love hearing how your gardens evolved through the seasons. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. It really helps more garden lovers discover these tips. Don't forget to subscribe to Seniors Gardening Advice and tap the notification bell so you never miss future videos on seasonal blooms, plant care, and garden design ideas. Remember, even when frost settles and the days are short, your garden can still be a place of color, fragrance, and peace. Keep growing, keep nurturing, and let your garden remind you that beauty never sleeps. It simply blooms differently in winter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.